Good afternoon, everybody. This is Matt Webster again with the next video of my Christian Journey series. Today's character and anime that I wanted to talk to about, that God kind of revealed some things to me um, in my own life and whatnot, is Solo Leveling. Solo Leveling is a pretty new anime from the last couple of years. Uh, it's a fantastic anime. It's kind of dark for most people. Um, but let's get right into it. So, main character, this guy right here, his name is Jinwoo. Um, this is initially what he starts off looking like. In the anime, he's called the weakest hunter of all mankind. And give you an idea with the anime, everyone's born with an inherent ability. There's these things called monster gates and stuff like that in dungeons that pop up. Well, people go into these dungeons to fight these monsters and whatnot. And basically, everyone's born with an inherent rank. So there's a rank E through what they call S and then Super S and National Hunters, which you don't find out until much later with the National Hunters. But basically, E is the weakest hunters. They're the ones that take like small odd jobs. They can't really fight higher level monsters in dungeons. Often they tend to be like bag carriers, things like that. Well, Jinwoo is so weak even in the E class that he is considered the weakest of all hunters. No inherent abilities, no um, great power or whatever. His dad disappeared when they were kids and stuff like that, so he lives with his sister and his mom. And he's trying to take care of his family. His mom's in the hospital from a disease that's caused by the hunter ranks and stuff like that. Well, very first couple episodes, because he's trying to pay for everything for his family. That's why he goes into these dungeons and he accepts these dangerous jobs. Um, After finding out that he's the weakest hunter and everyone's poking fun at him, they wind up in a dungeon that's considered what's S rank, which is really, really, really high danger. To the point where almost everybody in the party is killed, minus a few. But the only reason why the few survived that they did is because he was able to decode the dungeon's patterns and everything else, where he allows a lot of people to get the people that survive are allowed to get out because he's able to solve the mysteries of it. Well, he basically gives up his life to make sure everyone else survives. The entire time while he's dying, though, he's asking why life's not fair. Why is it that everyone views him? Why is he this piece of garbage? And for me, this was something that I related a lot to, because there have been moments where I thought things were unfair. Um, Oftentimes, I look at other people and I think, man, what are they doing that I'm not doing? And it's like, why is it this person gets to do this thing or be with that person? And, you know, basic general thought processes we all have as humans at some point in our life. Well, then he's resurrected by the system, which, again, in Christianity, you know, the story of Jesus. I'm not saying this character is Jesus' character, just to be clear, but I'm trying to like give an association to that for an understanding purpose. Well, he's given a second opportunity. At first, he kind of shrugs it off. It's called the leveling system, the system to which he learns that he can level up and stuff. But at first, he thinks it's just a joke and nothing special about it until the system challenges him and he learns that he can take advantage of this system. But the thing that's about the system that's really interesting and cool with this anime is that nothing he has is given to him. He had to sacrifice himself to get the system. Then he has to work hard and continue to work hard to keep leveling up, to get abilities, to get to where he wants. So he's actually the first character in the series to break the whole thing of like you're stuck with an inherent power level. Instead, he can level up. He can change his rank and status. By the end of the second season, he's even out competing everyone in his groups, and he's going into dungeons where he's soloing everything. For me, that was kind of a cool thing because a lot of times in my own life, I've had to take on fights by myself when others didn't want to. Um, and sometimes I put it on myself anyways. One of the things that I got from this anime very early on, something that God kind of showed me too, there are people in my life that came through and like things that I wanted and whatnot. And I started training. I started training harder, and like I was making excuses still, even back in November of 24. And then one night completely changed my life forever. And all of a sudden, this anime and this character came back to mind. And I went back over the anime multiple times. I've watched it probably 5 or 6 times. And every time the message of hard work, diligence, sacrifice, self discipline, and sometimes like even isolation. And I know some people won't agree with that, but sometimes you have to isolate yourself from the rest of the pack to come out the other end. And what I mean by that is that sometimes it's okay to need to do things alone. Because at the end of the day, everything that we got, we have to earn ourselves. I'm not saying that God doesn't help and He doesn't guide you to the point, because this anime came up so many times in like training and stuff like that. I actually started doing the physical workout from this anime to get myself in shape and get myself where I wanted to be. So, if God did anything, He pointed out a good exercise program. And some people thought it sounded too simple at first and whatever. Because I think it starts off with like 20 push ups, 20 sit ups, a 1 K run, something like that. It's nothing complicated. But there was a lot of things with this anime that were kind of cool with that, where I was able to use an exercising system from an anime of all things that actually ended up working out really well for me to get in shape. At one point in time, I was 273 pounds, and now I'm 165 pounds. So it kind of clarifies and gives an idea of like what was going on. I've put a little weight on since then, but a lot of it's muscle weight because I'm working out and eating a lot of protein, which was something else cool too. I ended up doing some research with the anime to find out what kind of diet would take to get like what he's doing in the anime, things like that, because they call it the Jinwoo diet, funny enough, which is the name of the main character. So it's a lot of black coffees, tea, water, a lot of fish, high protein stuff, eggs. It's really interesting when you look at a lot of the stuff. I even looked up other things to go along with this diet to get the kind of physique that the character has, which is kind of cool. That even the anime worked out well in this well. It was exercise, dieting, hard work, sacrifice. Another thing I got from this character though is that he did feel like the weakest of all time. But instead of staying weak, he chose the hard route. He chose to level himself up. He chose to keep going. And eventually what happened was he kept climbing the ranks. He kept getting higher and higher and higher to the point of when we end the last episode of season 2, he's now amongst what are called the national hunters. They're hunters that go way far beyond normal power rankings, and even so much so that they're fighting creatures that are, although it may not be Christianly to say, godlike. They're characters with immense power and whatnot. And it gets in the manga and stuff, it gets a lot more detailed about that. But this is a character that understood what the grind was, understood what he was grinding for. Because a big thing too was there was a lot of self-discipline in that, but he was doing it for the people around him. And what he wanted for himself was to not be weak. He wanted to kill the doubt. Because he hated being doubted. He hated being looked at like he was trash. Me personally, I've been down that road. I know exactly what it feels like. And something I even noticed, something else that's kind of pointed out with this anime. Women made fun of him in the anime a little bit and poked fun at him, and some of them saw the goodness in him. But it was even more so seen because of the fact that I think in my own life I've wanted to be recognized by women, and it's kind of been nice recently that I have started to get recognized. At the same time, I don't know, it's really weird getting recognized by people. Kind of didn't do what I thought it was going to do. Honestly, I'm almost indifferent to it at this point. Whilst it's nice, it's not something I really care about because more than anything, I care about what I can do for my friends and loved ones. And there's a lot that I would say goes into that, and it is that sacrificing nature, that learning to be self-disciplined. So I would say one of the biggest things you can take away from this anime that God does, it is very godly in nature, is self-discipline. Because you have to be disciplined in a way that, you know, sometimes it breaks the rules. And God's system is not the system of man. And understanding that a system that would go against the rules of what the world accepts and wants to believe, I think is kind of a path towards God too, because you start realizing there's more to life than what you think, and when you start not following the rules of the system and start following what you know to be right and what is needed to get where you want to be, life starts getting a lot better. And even though there's a lot of pain, there's also a lot of progress. It takes a slow build to get where you want to get sometimes. Um, I'd still like to look like Chris Hemsworth, all things aside. Will I get there? Probably in time. It's gonna take time. It always does. So, anyways, I hope this video finds you all well, and hope you learned something today from the video.